Have you ever sat there staring at your phone, wondering why she stopped replying, but somehow still views every story, likes your posts days later, and keeps showing up in all the wrong places at the right time? You're not crazy. You're being studied, watched, measured. This isn't silence. This is a test. And most men fail it. Today, I'm exposing why she disappears but never really leaves, and exactly how you can turn that test into the biggest transformation of your life. Not just in love, but in power, purpose, and identity. Comment: silence is power if you're ready to reclaim your peace. And stay locked in till the end. This will be one of the most important messages you'll ever hear. Number 1. She's watching your reaction. She doesn't ghost because she's busy, and she doesn't disappear because she's healing. She does it to provoke, to trigger a chain reaction in you that reveals everything she really wants to know. What kind of man are you when she removes her energy from your life? That's the experiment. That's the unspoken test. She leaves the stage, but sits in the audience to watch the show, studying every scene of your collapse or control, not from love but from curiosity, from ego, from this need to validate her decision. You think she's silent? She's calculating. You check your phone every 10 minutes. You stare at her last scene. You replay every message wondering what you could have said differently. You don't eat, you don't sleep, and the worst part, you think this is grief, but it's not. It's performance, it's her movie now, and you're the lead actor without knowing the camera is still rolling. The truth is, this isn't about a breakup. This is a report card. She wants to know if you're man enough to live without her, and more importantly, how fast you fall apart. Most of you do. You start justifying, explaining, confessing, pouring your heart into voided messages, hoping she just needs one more text to understand you. But she's not confused. She's assessing. Your panic doesn't draw her back. It confirms her power. So what do? You stop performing. You write down your urges every time you want to reach out, and you stare at them until the emotion dies. Because the moment you act on emotion, you surrender control. You take that energy and build a new schedule. You plan your mornings with discipline. Wake, work out, meditate, grind. Your phone becomes a tool, not a leash. You delete her number, not out of hate, but out of discipline. And each time you see her views pop up on your stories, remember, she's still watching, but now she's confused. She left expecting weakness. Show her strength, not in a meme or a flex, but in your silence, your consistency, your refusal to explain who you are through her absence. She isn't just watching, she's waiting for you to collapse so she can feel justified. Don't give her the ending she wrote. Rewrite the script. Be the man who doesn't chase confusion, who doesn't break under distance. Let her wonder why you never reacted, why you never begged, why you never crumbled. Let your peace offend her manipulation. Because the man who builds in silence, who reinvents himself without applause, becomes unstoppable. That's your mission now, not to prove her wrong, but to prove yourself right. And when she finally circles back, what will she find? Not the man she left, but a version of you that she no longer qualifies for. That's the story she never expected, and that's the ending she doesn't get to rewrite. Number 2. Her ego needs to know you still care. She doesn't disappear to move on. She disappears to confirm she's irreplaceable in your mind, to test how deeply you need her to validate your own value. And the more you react, the more data she collects for her ego's scrapbook, not to get closer, but to feed the fantasy that she's still the center of your emotional world. Her silence is a fishing line, and your emotions are the tug. Every message you send, every post you aim at her, every passive-aggressive quote you slide into your stories, it all feeds her appetite for proof that her presence still controls your peace. Think about this. If you didn't matter to her at all, why is she still watching? Why doesn't she block you and vanish forever? Because it's not closure she wants, it's consumption. She wants to consume your obsession. She wants to see your decay. That's how she wins without saying a word. Your pain is her proof. And most of you give it to her for free, like a broken record repeating, "I still care, I still care, I still care." You don't realize the damage this does to your mind, to your confidence, to your identity. You think vulnerability will open a door, but she already left the house and left the camera on. She doesn't want to fix the situation. She wants to replay the footage of your emotional unraveling like a movie she can control, pause, rewind, and analyze. You need to understand this. When a woman vanishes and still watches you, she doesn't miss you, she misses the power. So don't give her the supply. Reclaim your mental real estate. Start writing down your thoughts not to send but to extract the poison. Channel your time into building a new obsession. Your goals, your health, your income, your solitude. Stop posting subliminals. Stop sending "just checking in" texts. Stop giving CPR to a connection that died the moment she weaponized distance. Do you want to know what actually makes her spiral? When she watches and sees peace. When she lurks and sees progress. When she checks and realizes her name isn't in your mouth anymore. Not out of hatred, out of irrelevance. Because nothing wounds a woman's ego more than seeing the man she discarded become better without needing her. That's not just a win. It's devastation to her narrative. And you know what happens next? She starts asking herself if she was ever really that special to begin with. But don't do it to get her back. Do it to get yourself back. Because the man who needs no witness for his progress becomes magnetic to every opportunity. Not just in love, but in life. You're not here to prove you're loyal to someone who ghosted you. You're here to become loyal to the version of yourself that she distracted you from. Write that down, print it, live it. The next time you want to message her, ask yourself, would the man I'm becoming say this? If the answer is no, delete it and move forward. That's your new mantra. Progress over proving. Your ego doesn't need revenge. It needs results. She may still be watching. Good. Give her a show worth regretting. And when you finally reclaim your value from the hands of someone who only needed it to validate themselves, that's when you realize this isn't just about her, it's about you. About the way you've given your peace away your whole life without even noticing. And if any part of this hits home, if you've ever wondered, why do I keep attracting this kind of pain? Or how do I protect myself without becoming numb? Then, the Stoic relationship blueprint is your foundation. This isn't just another book. It's your emotional armor, your mental compass, your silent mentor. And once you get it, it's yours for life. No subscriptions, no expiry, just truth that stays with you. This guide will show you how to build relationships that don't cost you your self-respect, how to lead without chasing, and how to live from principles, not emotion. It's linked in the comments. Get it now, and never again hand your worth to someone who didn't earn it. Number 3, she wants to hurt you without guilt. She doesn't say goodbye because goodbye requires accountability. She doesn't give closure because closure removes her ability to haunt you from a distance. So instead, she retreats into calculated silence, masks it as moving on, and then secretly studies the damage she left behind without ever having to face the consequences of her decision. And you, the man who gave, who invested, who showed up when no one else did, are left scrambling through memories, texts, moments, trying to find the crack in the wall that made her vanish, blaming yourself, overthinking every detail, not realizing she's orchestrated this entire withdrawal like a psychological game of warfare, where your emotions get weaponized while her hands stay clean. She ghosts, and yet still checks on you like a landlord returning to inspect a property she abandoned. That's the manipulation. She doesn't want you to heal fast. She wants you to bleed slow. She needs your breakdown to confirm her strength. And the more desperate your reaction, the more vindicated she feels. That's why she leaves without a word, because it allows her to turn you into the villain in her own mind while feeding on your pain without owning her cruelty. But what hurts even more, you let it happen. You sit in the quiet, hoping she'll come back, praying that your honesty will win her respect, not realizing she's already written the final chapter and just didn't have the courage to read it to your face. That's not love. That's cowardice dressed in femininity, and your biggest mistake, trying to heal with the same hands that hurt you. You send her closure letters, long texts explaining how much she meant to you, how much you still care, and all she sees is a man still enslaved to her presence. You keep showing up in her world digitally, thinking visibility equals importance, but she sees your pain and mistakes it for proof of her power, not your love. So how do you break this trap? You stop feeding the ghost. You cut off the possibility of reconciliation, not out of hate, but because you finally understand. Any woman who can cause that much emotional damage and walk away like it was nothing was never worthy of your vulnerability to begin with. You erase her number, archive the memories, and most importantly, you accept that you'll never get an apology because she needs to believe she did nothing wrong in order to live with herself. Let her. Your healing doesn't require her permission. Your peace doesn't need her participation. Start now. Get up early. Get uncomfortable. Begin that business plan you keep postponing. Channel the betrayal into discipline. Build a body she wouldn't recognize. Create a mind that she can no longer manipulate. Let her watch. Let her regret. Let her guilt eat away at the silence she built, while you build a life so powerful that it speaks louder than any closure she refused to give. You don't need her to admit she was wrong. You need to stop pretending she was right. That's where your power lives, in accepting what happened without needing her to justify it. Take your pain and make it expensive for her to ever forget the man she walked away from. And when she lurks your profile next time, let her find exactly what she feared. A man who didn't just survive, but became untouchable. Number 4. She's waiting for you to chase. She doesn't block you, not because she forgot, but because she wants you to see the open door, to assume there's still hope, to reach for the handle only to find yourself locked out emotionally while she watches through the peephole, silent, smug, waiting for your next move. You call it mixed signals. She calls it power. And the longer you chase, the deeper you dig your own emotional grave, thinking you're proving love, when all you're proving is that you've forgotten your value. You think she's confused, but she's actually waiting. For what? For your pursuit. For you to validate that even after her detachment, she still matters. Every DM, every reaction, every post aimed at her is a digital confession that her absence still defines your reality. That's not connection, that's submission. She doesn't miss you, she misses the attention. She wants to see if you're still orbiting her world, like a planet that lost its sun but continues to rotate out of habit. And when she sees you fold, when she sees the desperate texts, the story views at 2 a.m., the breadcrumb likes, she doesn't feel compassion. She feels confirmation. Confirmation that she still owns space in your head, rent-free. And here's the kicker. She often has no intention of coming back. She just wants to know she could if she wanted to. That's what chasing gives her. A one-sided romance where you play both roles while she watches like a director behind the scenes. This is how many men get emotionally enslaved by women who've already moved on physically. You become her emotional pet, trained to respond to her absence with loyalty, while she builds a new life elsewhere without consequence. But it doesn't have to be this way. You reclaim your power the moment you stop performing. You don't respond to silence with noise. You respond with distance. You pull your energy so far back that she questions whether she ever meant anything at all. Not to hurt her, but to heal yourself. You stop posting for her. You stop watching her stories. You stop engaging with her friends. You treat her like the past, not a possibility. And you reinvest that energy into yourself, into journaling your goals, building a morning routine that no one can interrupt, joining communities that hold you accountable, reading philosophy that sharpens your mind, and embracing a code of Stoicism that teaches you to stay calm in chaos and unmoved by temporary feelings. You write down a list of what you've tolerated and what you'll never tolerate again, and you live by that list like a constitution. You make your peace louder than her silence, and over time, something shifts. She notices. She senses the shift in energy. She feels the vacuum where your obsession used to be. And now she's the one chasing shadows, rereading old messages, asking mutuals about you. But it's too late. You're no longer playing the game. You're not chasing, you're building. You've become the man who doesn't look back, not because he hates what he left behind, but because what's ahead is finally worth it. This is your freedom. This is your comeback, not to prove her wrong, but to finally become right with yourself. Number 5, she's betting you'll validate her worth. She doesn't cut contact because she's done. She cuts contact because she's calculating. And in her calculation, she needs one thing above all: confirmation that her presence still equals your peace, that her absence still triggers your chaos, that even without speaking, she still controls the emotional temperature of your world. She's not gone to forget you. She's withdrawn to measure you, like an experimenter waiting for a reaction to validate her sense of importance, her belief that she still matters more than your self-respect. She wants you to respond, not with strength, but with longing, with weakness masked as affection, with open wounds disguised as romantic effort. And most men play into this unknowingly, flooding her inbox with emotional confessions, flooding her memories with nostalgic throwbacks, all in the name of proving love, not realizing they're only affirming that her pull still works. But what she's really doing is outsourcing her self-worth. She doesn't want to know if you still care. She wants to know if she still has the power to make a man fall apart. And if you give her that proof, she walks away, not with guilt, but with glee, knowing she mattered more to you than you mattered to yourself. That's what she wants from you: emotional validation wrapped in the illusion of reconciliation. And most of you give it freely, not because you're weak, but because no one taught you the value of your silence. You think by pouring out your emotions, she'll wake up to the damage she caused. But you're talking to someone who's already justified her actions, who's rewritten the narrative in her mind, where she's the misunderstood victim and you're the clingy one. You're pleading with someone who's secretly hoping you'll break so she can feel like the prize again. That's not healing, that's humiliation. So how do you reclaim your worth? By starving her of the one thing she craves most: proof. You don't reach out, you don't explain, you don't try to fix what she sabotaged. You go dark, not out of pettiness, but out of principle. And while she's scrolling, lurking, asking her friends if you've moved on, you're building a fortress around your identity so strong that no woman can ever make or break it again. Start by identifying where else in your life you've placed your worth in the hands of others: your job, your followers, your family, and reclaim those pieces one by one. Build a morning routine so solid that your day no longer bends to emotion. Build a business so resilient that rejection becomes irrelevant. Build friendships so deep that women are no longer your only source of affection. And over time, something changes, not just in her, but in you. She starts doubting her decision. She starts missing your validation. She starts questioning if maybe she wasn't as special as she thought. But you You've outgrown the need to be remembered. You don't chase closure. You don't crave her praise. You've become self-sourced. And in a world where most men live for women's approval, becoming a man who doesn't need it makes you untouchable. That's the new currency. Not love letters, not grand gestures, but distance, clarity, peace. Give her the gift of never knowing how close she came to losing something irreplaceable. Let her regret it in silence while you rise in power. That's how you win this game. Not by proving you were good enough, but by becoming someone who no longer needs to prove anything at all. Number 6. She's stalking you to fuel her control. You think it's over, that she's moved on, that her silence means peace. But what you don't see is that while she may have left your life, she hasn't left your world. She's watching silently, obsessively, needing to know if her exit left a dent, needing to track the aftermath of her absence, like a general studying enemy movement after retreat. She checks your stories within minutes. She stalks your friends' profiles for hints of your location. She watches who you follow, what you post, how often you post, and reads every caption like it's written to her, even if it isn't. This isn't curiosity. This is control maintenance. Because women who use emotional manipulation don't need your attention directly. They feed on your reaction. They want to confirm they still influence your actions, that their silence still echoes in your decisions. And many men unknowingly reinforce this by making every move a response to her absence. You start working out not for yourself, but to look good in case she comes back. You start posting not to express, but to impress. You hang out with other women hoping she'll see it. But all this does is keep you locked in her loop. She becomes your invisible boss, and you work for her approval without pay. That's the trap. You're living a life designed to provoke the same woman who already chose to leave. And in doing so, you delay your own healing, your own evolution, your own peace. But the real shift happens when you recognize her stalking for what it is: weakness. Because if she truly moved on, she wouldn't need to monitor your growth. Her curiosity is not admiration, it's insecurity. And the moment you see that, everything changes. You stop performing. You stop tailoring your progress to be seen by someone who didn't value your presence when they had it. You start building for yourself, not to post, not to prove, but because your time here is limited and your potential is too valuable to waste performing for shadows. You get strict with your focus. You set alarms, not for meetings, but for momentum. You treat every hour like a trade with your future self, and you stop trading your peace for the hope of being noticed. Start by cutting the digital ties. Mute her account. Block if needed. Stop checking who viewed your stories. Turn your attention to real work, real wins, real development. Make your daily goals so demanding that her silence becomes background noise. Join a mastermind. Read Stoic philosophy. Apply it ruthlessly. Become so aligned with your path that her presence or lack of it becomes irrelevant. That's when the magic happens. That's when her lurking turns to panic. Because now she's watching a man she no longer has access to. A man who no longer reacts. A man whose validation she used to live off now comes from discipline, clarity, and purpose. You don't need revenge. You don't need to show her what she lost. You need to become someone so focused that you forget she was ever watching. And when she finally messages, checks in, tries to reconnect, it's not a compliment. It's a signal that your peace disturbed her chaos. Don't respond, not out of bitterness. But because your silence is no longer a tool of revenge, it's the byproduct of healing. You're no longer playing, you're leading, you're living. And that, more than anything, is what she never saw coming. Number 7. What hurts her most? Being ignored back. She doesn't fear being blocked. She expects it. She doesn't fear anger. She feeds on it. What truly unsettles her, what shakes her to her core, is silence that doesn't come from pain, but from power. When a man doesn't react, doesn't chase, doesn't leave an open door with late-night texts or closure paragraphs, that's when she panics. Because silence from weakness can be managed, but silence from strength, that's dangerous. It means you've healed. It means you've remembered who you are. It means she no longer controls the emotional economy between you. And the moment she senses that shift, when she views your story and sees peace instead of desperation, when she hears from a friend that you've stopped asking about her, when she realizes her name no longer owns space in your head, it's over. Not just the relationship. Her illusion of superiority dies, because nothing crushes the ego of someone who thought they could come and go from your life like a season, more than realizing their exit didn't freeze your world. And yet, most men don't understand this. They mistake kindness for strength. They keep the door cracked open. They check in just to make sure she's okay. They say, "I just wanted closure." But behind every soft gesture is the same message. "I'm still hoping you'll change your mind." That's not love. That's slavery. That's what she sees. That you're still orbiting. That she still controls your seasons. And she will use that. She'll breadcrumb you. She'll resurface just long enough to test the waters, to see if you're still emotionally obedient, and when you show her you are, she'll ghost again. Not because she hates you, but because you failed to change the script. But when you go quiet, not out of passive aggression, but out of sacred self-respect, everything changes. You stop explaining your value and start living it. You delete the thread. You unfollow not to hurt her, but because your peace doesn't involve her anymore. And over time she notices. She always does. The same woman who couldn't be bothered to answer your texts now stalks your updates, asks mutual friends how you're doing, accidentally likes an old post. But here's the difference. Now you don't need to respond. You don't need to win. Because winning isn't proving her wrong. It's no longer needing her to be right. You break the cycle when you realize you don't owe her pain. You owe yourself protection. So you stop engaging. You stop checking. You stop hoping. And what fills the space where she used to live isn't bitterness. It's clarity. It's discipline. It's a new sense of self that says, "I don't lose women. I remove distractions." That's the mindset. You stop seeing her silence as a mystery and start seeing it as a blessing. She didn't abandon you. She revealed herself. And now that you know who she is, your job is to show her who you're becoming. A man so fulfilled, so mission-driven, so internally resourced that no woman can ever manipulate him through absence again. That's how you win. Not by replying, not by waiting, but by outgrowing the part of you that needed her attention to feel valuable. That's the death of the old you, and the birth of someone far more dangerous. Someone silent, someone healed, someone untouchable. Number 8. Silence breaks when you stop caring. The moment you truly let go, not pretend, not fake confidence, not distract yourself with rebound attention, but genuinely let go of her emotional grip on your identity, something shifts, not just in you, but in her. Because her silence wasn't designed to end the story. It was a trapdoor meant to keep you suspended in limbo, emotionally frozen in time, waiting for a return that was never guaranteed. But when you finally stop looking back, when her name no longer triggers a rise in your chest, when your days stop being organized around her memory, the frequency breaks. She senses the drop in energy. She feels the vacuum where your obsession used to live. And now, for the first time, she starts to panic, not because she wants you back, but because she no longer feels needed. Understand this. Silence is her currency of control. She doesn't need to speak if she knows your entire routine still revolves around what she might say. But when you stop caring, when you stop thinking about her every morning, when your growth becomes organic and not staged for her eyes, her spell loses its grip. Suddenly you're building your body for yourself. You're hitting goals she never believed in. You're spending time in places she never visited, talking to people who don't even know her name. You're living, not moving on to show her you can, but because you've remembered life exists outside of her orbit. That's the ultimate shift. And that's when she comes back. The "Hey Stranger" texts, the reactions to old stories, the sudden nostalgia about a memory she forgot for months. But now, you're different. You read the message with indifference. You smile, not because it feels good, but because you no longer need to answer. You've leveled up. You've detached. You've learned that her silence was never the end. It was your beginning. Because in that space, you found who you really are when no one's watching. That's what Stoicism teaches. Not to suppress emotion, but to remain unmoved by things outside your control. She was outside your control. Her exit wasn't your failure. Your attachment was. But now you're free. And with that freedom comes focus, clarity, ambition, and a new kind of power. A power not built on revenge, but on resilience. You don't just rebuild, you rebirth. You become a man who doesn't wait for apologies or returns. You set a new standard. You write new rules. You live on your own terms. And the irony? That's what makes her want you back. But you're not the same. You don't need her anymore. And that indifference, the kind born from genuine healing, not performance, is the most attractive, most dangerous, most liberating energy a man can carry. You've gone from hurt to healed, from obsessed to focused, from stuck to ascended. And now you don't chase silence. You use it, you expand in it, you dominate inside it. And she watches, wondering how she lost a man who used to need her so badly. The answer? He stopped caring. And in doing so, he became something she never saw coming, completely and irreversibly free. If you've made it this far, it means deep down, you know something has to change. You've been giving your power to people who were never qualified to hold it. You've been chasing closure from those who only came into your life to teach you how to stop asking for permission to be whole. And now, you stand at a choice. Stay stuck in the cycle of emotional slavery, or break free and rebuild your identity on principles, not pain. The Stoic relationship blueprint isn't just a book. It's a weapon for your mind. It's the truth you were never taught, the code no one handed you, the guide you needed before the heartbreak. And it's yours, forever. No gimmicks, no fluff, just unshakable clarity. It's linked in the comments. Get it now before another year of your life gets wasted on the wrong woman. Comment, "I choose peace," if you're ready to take back your power. Like this video to help it reach the next man who needs saving. And subscribe if you believe men deserve these truths. Because what you do right now will echo in every relationship you have from this day forward.